Okay, now it's been around for a little while. I still find it quite an interesting one. But anyway, we will have this discussion because in Victoria they've just made an offence for example, and I'll give you the scenario. I'm in an intimate relationship with someone. During the intimate relationship, some photos or video is taken of something, whether it be just the body of the person you're in the intimate relationship with, more explicit stuff than that. And then what happens is you have a bust up, and so to get back at you, some of that imagery is dispersed using the internet or other ways. It's now an offence in Victoria. It ain't here, should it be? Paul Litherland is from Surf Online Safe, and he's a former police officer who worked in this specific area as well, and joins me on the line now. G'day, Paul.
Hi Gary, how you going?
Good, mate. I've tried to do a summary there of basically what's happening with the whole sexting and sort of nude type imagery that gets, shared between a couple, perhaps. Is it a big issue, or was it a big issue when you were in the police force, for example?
Yeah, I think it's one of the main issues confronting schools and parents, I suppose, to a certain degree. But it's really pushing into the adult environment now, and where relationship porn, I suppose, or revenge porn, as it's been labelled, where, as you described completely, boyfriend girlfriend split up during that relationship. They've exchanged some images, and then before you know it, they've been sent on to a couple of mates. Those mates send it on here and there, and it's quite a massive issue for most people.
So do we need a law change or just an attitude change? In other words, you'd be a fool to do it, to take those sort of photos and send them on.
I think we're beyond that now, Gary. For years we've been trying to educate people to not take those risks. My education within schools is to say, look, if you're going to take those photos and send them on electronically, you're mad to do that, so try not to do it. But I think we have to go beyond that, where it's hard for you and I because we didn't have that culture as teens, but now it's almost the new norm. So to a degree, we almost have to concede defeat that our teens and young adults are exchanging these images. So I think the legislation is required, because most of the issues I had working at Technology Crime was you'd have parents or people ringing me saying, look, this photo's out there, it's on a website now, it's been viewed thousands of times, I'm heartbroken, what the hell can I do? And realistically, it was heartbreaking to say, look, sorry, there's nothing you can do because we just don't have that legislation here in WA.
So what's the Victorians come up with? They've changed all that.
Yeah, the Vics have come up with a really good piece of legislation which pushes that onus back on the person who has the photo to make a conscious decision as to whether or not they choose to send it on. If they do, then they need to obviously be exposed to the risk of being litigated. And this is I think where the core of the problem comes in, is at the moment in WA and even up until late last year in Victoria, there was no issue because there was no problem.
Yeah, you just had
what are they going to do? The cops can't do anything. I mean, yeah, I might get sued civilly to a degree, but hey, who's going to do that? So at least now we're getting the opportunity, especially within Victoria at least, that if someone has sent a picture on and they choose to send it to someone else, then they have to really weigh up whether or not they want to take that risk. And the penalties are quite strong. I mean, it's level 7 imprisonment penalty over there, which is a maximum of 2 years imprisonment and up to a $35,000 fine, which is a really good incentive, I think, for people to stop hopefully doing that. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to stop everyone, but hopefully it's a start.
Well, okay. Will it impact on? Let's talk about the latest case. Obviously, the Collingwood players who took photos of themselves, sent it somewhere, and then lo and behold, they end up in Women's Day. Who would get pinged under this law for that?
Well, under that legislation, you're looking at the person who received the photo, who sent it on. If that person has sent it on to a third party, and that third party has sent it on, then they're liable for the penalty. And also, to a degree, I suppose, if I was the boys involved, is I'd be pushing the envelope in regards to the Women's Day as well. How have they obtained those images? Have they obtained them legally? And this is the questions I'd be asking from the perspective of a victim, if that's the word to use, in regards to how my images have come into your possession. And this is where that legislation is quite good, in the fact that it's an intimate image, which of course includes video, that's been sent on to another party. And so the onus is being pushed back onto the person who sent it on, and also those people who've received it, to identify and prove beyond reasonable doubt that they obtained those images legally.
And then the issue is it's the publishing in the mass media that became the problem. And so surely the Women's Day, well, I don't know, I'm looking at the offence now as to whether they posting it in their magazine in print and online, that's posting it. So
it is. I mean,
so the media need to have a look at this in Victoria, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's just about trying to hopefully evoke that change in regards to, like I said, if with the most of the decision making, there's no deterrent there. So, especially working within with teenagers and within a school environment, there's even part of the legislation there which stipulates kids sending images to each other, which really does go to the core of where most of these issues are coming in. But it's about getting that education out there to people of all ages to go, okay, if I have received it, hopefully I'm going to stand on moral grounds and go, no, I better not send it on. And unfortunately, there's millions of websites. I mean, you've got to search Tumblr, which is an image sharing site with three terminologies: teen, nude, selfie, and you're going to get over 720 pages of photos, Gary, which of all of people who have sent on photos to someone they thought they could trust. And those photos are now out there in the public environment. So if we can minimise that risk, then I think we're halfway there. And if we can push this legislation into WA and the other states and territories, then I reckon we can do that, and hopefully I can continue to push that.
All right, well, we'll continue the discussion with you. I just sometimes wonder, when are we going to start thinking for ourselves again and making decisions for ourselves again that might save us from this stuff, mate, because all I can see, it's my old debate. I'll have to get you into it when I finally get the studio debate together about internet good or evil. You'll definitely be there, all right?
Yep, and we'll be tossing the coin all day, mate.
All right, mate. Thanks for that, Paul Litherland.